So whether you've been coming to Salem Chapel recently or for a long time, you've no doubt heard countless times our mission statement that reads that we desire to glorify God by making and mobilizing disciples who represent the gospel of Jesus Christ to every man, woman, and child. And I think many of us hear that statement and we readily affirm, yes, this is exactly what the church should be about. After all, Jesus, right before he ascended, commanded his church to make disciples. But do you understand why this is so mission critical? You know, it doesn't take long to observe that there's a discipleship crisis in the American church today. People are leaving the church at a rate not seen before in our culture. Younger generations are not following in the footsteps of their parents in attending church or raising their children to do so. And people of all ages and walks are publicly deconstructing and denouncing their faith. Why is this happening? Certainly there's a host of factors for why this is happening at this particular pivotal moment in our culture, but at the root of many of these factors is a certain disconnect in the human soul between the things that we are told and the things that we experience. This is where a holistic approach to discipleship comes into play. See, discipleship isn't one-dimensional because people aren't one-dimensional. People aren't just their intellect or the sum of their knowledge. They also have emotional components and physical components and spiritual components and relationship components. So discipleship can't just be about teaching curriculum or prescribing better behavior. After all, Jesus didn't just invite the 12 disciples to a Bible study. No, he invited them to abide with him and be restored by him in all the everyday moments of life. Some days were good days, some days were hard days, some days were miraculous, and some days were rather ordinary. That's what he meant, though, in his promise in John 10:10 when he said that he gives life and he gives it abundantly. See, Jesus is inviting me and you to abide and be restored every day in every part of my personhood with him. We want people to experience that promise of abundant life here at Salem Chapel. We want every man, woman, and child to not just know about Jesus, but to know, abide, and believe that Jesus said what he said, he did what he did, and he is who he is, and how that makes a difference in their everyday lives. This vision has informed our strategy as we've been building out a culture of discipleship here at Salem Chapel. That's why we're trying to create a common language. We developed a toolbox of discipleship tools. That's why we walk people through a discipleship framework that we call Restore. All of these components are working together to disciple the whole person. But I don't want you to simply take my word for it. I want to invite you to experience it firsthand by joining our church in September for what we are calling the Discipleship Primer. Starting Tuesday, September 13th, we'll gather for 3 consecutive Tuesdays in a row to learn, experiment, and interact with the different components of our discipleship strategy so that when you walk out the doors on the last night, you will truly understand how these things are working together to make and mobilize disciples here at Salem Chapel. Childcare will be provided all 3 of these nights for you. And if you're a part of a life group, your group will be meeting together on those nights for the primer in September instead of gathering in homes for that month. That's how important this is for all of us as a church to do this together. So here's what we need from you. Please visit salemchapel.org/discipleship for more information and to register. If you will need childcare, there will be an option for you to register for each week that you need coverage. This is important, and that will be necessary for you to drop off your children, so please don't skip that step. We're so excited, church, to share this time together with you and excited for what God is building here at Salem Chapel as we're trying to be faithful to do what Jesus has called each of us to do in making disciples.